Hey, I'm back. Yes, I am back. That was just a brief intermission until I get Lorna Dean back on the line. All right, so I'm going to wait for her. Oh, there she is. Hi, Lorna. Let's see here. La 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 la. Okay, Lorna, I'm about to add you in. So we're just waiting for Lorna to join. Just make sure you join, Lorna. You should get a message back. All righty. View request. Oh, come on, y'all. Oh, wait. Yes,
Hey,
we
hi
did.
everyone.
We
Hi.
did.
Can you
Lorna,
hear me okay?
listen,
Perfect.
I can hear you perfectly fine. I'm so glad you're on the call. And you know what? I hope if no one saw when I first came on, because I had that little special thing I was
Of course.
trying to do, now I am going to introduce my guest, okay? I've known Lorna. You know what? I'll tell about the story about how we met. We talked about that last night. But from the moment I met Lorna, I got such positive energy from her in a way that you don't get from most people, especially women. When you don't know them, you're just passing, passing out in public. You really don't get that same vibe, energy, and I can see the light emanating from her. You can't ignore it, girl. That light can't be extinguished. And once I got to know Lorna, we didn't work in the same company, but she was a colleague of sorts. But Lorna, you went out of your way to be a generous soul when you didn't have to. And I appreciate that so much.
Oh, God.
I
Thank you for
appreciate
saying.
that so much. So I want to, without further ado, introduce a beautiful woman, a woman who is a business owner. She knows how to get things done, how to meet people, how to take action. She has a beautiful family, a loving husband, and girl, you sexy. If you don't follow Lorna at her IG page, when I say she's beautiful in all the right ways, Lorna. I'm
Girl,
not just blowing your head up,
it's
girl.
heavy.
Why don't you
Woo,
go
it's
ahead and
heavy.
introduce
My head is
yourself?
heavy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for those beautiful compliments. I appreciate that. And just thank you. Thank you. All the way around. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Now, listen, Lorna, this is about emotional intelligence. And before you got on, I was talking about self awareness as a way to kind of minimize how people impact other people's
Mhm.
emotions by unloading problems on them. Now, you come from
Correct.
the healthcare industry, and in the healthcare industry, which is the industry that I was in, I give props to anyone who works in the healthcare industry in any capacity because it is about love and about embracing a place where someone is where they didn't intend to be, and it's not
Absolutely.
always a good situation. And for people who work in healthcare, they are responsible in some sense for making sure that this person is not only healing, but they also have some emotional
Right.
support of some sort. And, it was difficult for me to kind of separate myself from the people that I was helping when I
Hmm.
was
Hmm.
working in the same industry. So, can you tell people, our audience, about how, and if you want to describe what you do, how on a day-to-day basis that you can go out there and do the things that you do to help people
Wow.
and not bring it home
Wow.
with you.
I can't even say that I don't bring it home. Sometimes I do. It's hard to disconnect. In the health
Okay.
industry, truly, it has to be a labor of love. You have to do it from the heart. You have to, it's not just a job. It's not
Yeah.
just a career. It really is something that you need to have a calling for. It's hard to cut off callings. You know what I mean? So with that being
That's right.
said, I seldom turn it off. When I come home, I'm constantly thinking about families. I'm constantly thinking about people who are in need of help in that area in some kind of capacity. I haven't met a family member yet that came to the decision of seeking alternate living arrangements for their loved one. They don't come to that decision easily. So with that being said, I try to, I start always in my office with a conversation. I have had many tears. I keep Kleenex on my desk because, again, the idea is that people are putting their loved one away or putting them in a situation where, where they don't really know what's going to happen, so, and they can't do it on their own. They can't do it by themselves. Many of them are caregivers. And so they're coming to this decision. It's difficult.
And you're talking about
Nursing home care and
nursing home
also just
care, to be
alternate
specific.
living,
Yeah.
So as you know, I do placements. And as a placement coordinator, people come to me when they maybe need a respite for their loved one. So respite is just, just a temporary, a break.
Great.
Or they come to me for ancillary services like hospice or nursing home or whatever the need is. And so I start with a conversation. I try to take the anxiety out of it. And then we proceed, so even before, I'm sorry, go right ahead.
Now, no, I wasn't trying to cut you off, but I really wanted to get to the meat of why we're here. It's about, we had a conversation about strong women, right? And what a strong woman is. And, my concern is being African American, as everybody can tell, that's who I am. Being titled a strong woman sometimes is a badge of honor. Sometimes it can be taken differently. And what my viewpoint is, and what I was saying actually in our...
Uh-oh. Can you guys see me, I hope?
No, that was me. Some
no
Instagram message popped up. I don't know why. Anyway, but the connotation of a strong Black woman, right? It leaves us uncovered. Do you get what I mean? Because as a woman, and we're of a particular age, we are not teenagers. We're not even just starting out in life with family and with careers. We are in the thick of it. We're getting it at this point. So we've experienced a lot of things that we had to triumph over, that we had to persevere through, that we had to find resources and get over or make our way through or press through, which, going through all of that does make you strong. But when someone says, for me, strong Black woman, what that says is that I don't need to be covered by a man, or I don't need assistance, or I'm somehow able to overcome things that really shouldn't be put on me. And don't let me overspeak. I want to hear your point of view about that.
That we don't need a circle. That we don't need
absolutely.
Not just a companion, but just, like I say, just an added, whatever it is we need. Who do we go to when we need to replenish?
Right.
One of my girlfriends just recently shared some information with me, and she asked me, she said, with everything that you have on your plate, everything that you're doing, because having a business and working full-time is not the only thing that I do. I'm a full-time mom. I'm also a member of a school board. So a lot of things on my plate. And she says, so when people are coming to you, first, are you drained? And secondly, who do you go to? Who covers you? And I, for the first time, thought about that. Like you don't think about it when you're labeled as a strong Black woman or a strong woman or strong person. You're always in go mode. You're always in getting the thing done. Someone's depending on me to complete this task. And that's where my head is all the time.
Yeah.
So who do you go to? You don't even think about it. I never think about it. So the self-care is something that I have tried to incorporate over the years, but that falls by the wayside.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh
because
my goodness. What do you
so
do for self-care?
I have a phenomenal massage therapist that I used to go see
Okay.
at a salon I was going to. And then after COVID and everything hit, things tapered off, and, you know, you weren't able to go into businesses like, you know, like we were doing. So anyway, when she started taking clients again, she started doing mobile visits. So I would get on schedule for her to come to
Okay.
my home. I have a section in
Hey,
my house,
I'm not mad at
the
it.
lower level of my house. And I actually went out and bought a
Mhm.
massage table, and we'll get to that later. That was for my husband. But nevertheless, I bought this.
What? Wait. No, we cannot pass by that. See, this is a whole new thing right here now. Now
Hey,
we're gonna take off this corporate hat and
hey,
we are
yes.
just girlfriends. All right. So here's what I want to ask you, Lorna. You're a married woman.
This year,
How long have you
31
been
years.
married? 31 years.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about strong women, I think more of a focus, instead of being a focus on, you know, I've been a single mother, single moms, or, you know, working multiple jobs as a strong Black woman, or, you know, facing these obstacles, which now that I have learned about my own self-awareness and about emotional intelligence and about creating the environment, is a plan to not have those instances where you have to be
Mm-hmm.
a Wonder Woman in a sense. Okay. So the way, oh, this is so beautiful. The support, like you mentioned, the first support is the covering of a husband if
Absolutely.
you are blessed
Mm-hmm.
to have that, which we both are. For women who are not married or do not have the covering of a mate, then they have to set up a different type of support. But for women who have the support of a mate, it is something totally different, because while I can have support of my girlfriend in certain areas, my sister in another area, someone that you pay in a certain area like a masseuse or a hairstylist or whatever, when it comes to meeting one-on-one right here where everything is equal, there's only one person that can be that same support for you.
I do.
Do you get my
And
meaning?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's not to say that married women can't be strong women. I'm only talking about the moniker or the identifier of strong kind of takes away from some of the other attributes that are so very important to why we are here, why we do what we do, how we support our families and create our businesses.
Absolutely.
And do the things that we do. So when you get stressed and you like, I still, even though I have a support system and I have the environment, I still get overwhelmed. I still get overwhelmed at times. And I've learned that while I get overwhelmed, I have my husband there for support. But tell me if you feel the same way. I don't share absolutely everything that's going on every minute of the day with my husband, because you know why?
He won't let you
He
do it.
doesn't
My
care.
husband won't let me do that. Like, okay. And even when, and I thank God, because so when we were younger, okay, it was like not even sugar coated. He was not interested in my day, and that was okay, you know, because he had his own stuff to deal with. But as we get older, as we've gotten older, he really pays a lot more attention, and in the way that he can. So, and I love him for that. Sometimes, yeah, I can get his attention. If I'm sitting next to him and he's watching something on television, just being in the presence. And sometimes it's just about, I'm not looking for like rebuttal. I'm not looking for him to add anything to the conversation. Sometimes it's just me venting, and he allows me to do that. Now, sometimes you got to go to another place to hear me vent. Sometimes. because I can go into, I mean,
Yes.
it's a
Yeah, I
lot,
get it.
but
I
I
get
just
it.
thank God for the support, and I get a different type of a support with him. Sometimes it's not conversation at all.
Right.
Sometimes it's just me leaning on his
Yeah.
shoulder,
Sometimes it's not.
literally. Sometimes it's just if he's watching
Mm-hmm.
television and I
Mm-hmm.
just come in the room and he's by himself and minding his business. Sometimes it's just getting under that arm and snuggling in and grabbing that blanket and
Yeah.
just I have fallen asleep on his shoulder, on his chest, and that is the connect for me. That is the covering for me. Sometimes it's not even conversation. Sometimes it's just presence. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's
That's right. That's right. And you know, because you're
yeah,
strong, right? Strong woman in so many other areas of your life. And then you have to be. Like, I'm the caretaker for my mom. My mom lives here with us. My mom is 87 and she
yeah,
requires a lot of care. And, you know, I have to be strong in that sense because my sister comes from Michigan and she comes every quarter, every couple of months or so. But on a day-to-day basis, I have help maybe 3 times a week, but it's that nighttime or it's that time when no one
yeah,
else around. So I have to be
yeah,
strong because I can't afford not to be. And then in my business, I have to be strong. And in the classroom, I have to be strong. But when you get to come home and relax on that shoulder, like you said, there is something different. And I hope that for everyone out there, and you know, just to know that
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
to have
No,
that is
no,
work. It's not easy.
no,
It's not
not at
easy to
all.
get
And
to
for my
that point.
sisters who may not have that mate at home, and this is
Mm-hmm.
truly something that I do. I check on my sisters. I check on my buddies, my friends,
Yeah,
from time to
absolutely.
time, just to pop in and say, "Hey, thinking about you, and hope all is well." And I mean, and I'm
Mm-hmm. Because they're not all strong. They're not as strong as people are led to believe. Just that call in to check in on a girlfriend uh, helps. And I want to do that. I want to know that
yeah,
my
that's
friends are
right.
okay. You know what I mean? Because I know, you know, what it's like to have someone at home as a confidant, as an equal partner and share. And I know what it's like
Yeah,
not to or not have it in the same way. Maybe they have someone there, but not
sure.
getting that same thing. So checking in with the girlfriends and making sure they're good is definitely
Yeah.
something that we need to do. But I was going to ask, how do you turn off? And this is where I think the confusion comes in with strong woman versus strong black woman, or a woman who can just
Mhm.
handle the things that need to be handled. Is how do you? I know how I turn it off. How do you turn it off? My mother taught me, and
Mm,
she calls it purring.
mm, mm.
When you purr, and you know that's the way when you're in that quiet, intimate space where if you want to have a conversation that
Yeah.
maybe you don't want to have right now, or or whatever, it's a purr. How do you pull off your soft, hard
Mm,
exterior
mm.
to become
Wow,
soft
wow,
for your
wow,
husband?
wow. By being present, by simply being
Mm-hmm.
present. And
And you don't mean
no, I
just only
mean in the
physically.
moment. I mean physically, but in the moment.
Okay.
I remember a time when I didn't know how to be present. And as you know, with social media and our phone and our lives and our
Uh-huh.
careers, it's very different. It's
Mm-hmm.
easy to be pulled in all those different directions. But I learned how
Yeah.
to be present. And I learned that through methods of
Uh-huh.
meditation sometimes, or getting scripture sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
because I have to turn off so that I can
Yes.
fully focus on what God is trying to
Mm-hmm.
say to me, or fully focus on the time that I have with my husband when I am with him. And I consider those moments very precious, whereas before I probably took that for
Uh-huh.
granted. I probably did. But now
Mm-hmm.
it's so
Oh
important to
yeah.
me. It's so important that turning off, that is the key for me to do that, to turn off from my day and to turn on to being present in the moment, and not just with my husband, whether it's with the kids or even with my own personal time. For
Yeah.
me, I have to do that. um, but
And you mean putting
right,
the phone down, not answering calls or
yeah,
texts, those type of things. Absolutely. You know, everyone deserves that special time with you. And we're busy. Look, I could come in this,
Mm-hmm.
my day starts at 5:30. I could stay in here. There's always something for me to do in this office until 10 o'clock at night. And sometimes my husband, we both work from home. Sometimes my husband, he'll just be like, you okay? Or he'll come in and check on me. Or he might even, if he's stuck in there, he might text me. But I understand that I can't be this go-getter hard person, you know, all the time, because it's really not how it's supposed to be. It's not how it's supposed to be. So I have to make time for every significant person in my life, specifically for them. So there's a way that I am just dialed down just for my mom, or just for my daughter, or just for my sister, or just for a girlfriend, or just for me, just me. You know what I mean? Because self-care is important, and sometimes it's important just to have a peace of mind, just to get a moment to think or be an individual, not a school board member, or not a employee, or not a business owner, not a wife or a mom, but Lorna or Davina. You know what I mean? So when you need the time, and I know you said prayer, meditation, that's me too. But when you need the time to bond with another woman, someone who understands what you, what do you usually do?
So when I had more time, I could steal away and have lunch with a girlfriend. Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
We've
It's the
had
best
lunch.
to me. I love the face-to-face time. And of course, phone conversations as well. You know, and it's crazy because even my buddies who I maybe don't talk to on a daily basis, when we do talk, it's 3 and 4 hours. It is sometimes takes that long to decompress, I guess. I don't know, but it is that. It is that. I would much rather.
Well, I think people aren't doing as much as we were doing since the pandemic, because that's how it is just about with every conversation. And do you, and tell me if it's the same for you. You cannot talk to someone for a minute, and it's okay, because when you get on that phone, it's like you never left.
It is the truth. We pick up where we left off.
Pick up where we
Absolutely,
left
absolutely. And it
off.
takes hours before I know it.
And you know what I attribute that to? I attribute that to finding like-minded friends. It's not forced. Oh, I said earlier I was going to say how we met each other. Okay, so we have a mutual friend.
Yeah, we can say her name.
Should we say her name?
She needs to be on.
Yes. Our friend Nicole. I call her the conduit because she's always connecting people some kind of way. But this wasn't even a connection for us. We happened to have met in the lobby of her building, and I had heard her speak of you. And I went there to either drop something off or pick something up, and you were in the lobby. And I was standing at the counter, and I saw you come in, and it was just like a glow around you. Really, sorry about that. It was like a glow around you. And so you immediately grabbed my attention. Then you spoke to me. We're like, hi, because we're all the hi girls. And you gave me a compliment on my coat. And then I think as I was leaving, I don't know what happened. But that's when I realized that I said, oh, she must be Lorna. And then when we finally met, and I don't remember how we actually met, you were just so giving and open. And when we talk about strong Black women, sometimes there's a negative connotation where people think that in order for any woman, and I only am saying strong Black woman because that's the moniker where it's placed, but any woman that has to go through a lot, I'm sorry, this is just, anyway, any woman that has to go through things, they sometimes have a hard exterior.
You can develop it.
And
absolutely
a little bit, yeah. And so you have found a way to kind of go or not even have that type of exterior, which I think I do the same because I am a very smiley, happy person. and even when things weren't the best for me or like I wanted them to be, I still maintain the same personality because I can't let an
Right.
incident control my
Right.
whole life, right? So what is something that you could tell someone, a woman, a person who is going through a lot, on how to maintain perspective so that they aren't putting their hard personality or taking the things that they're going through and putting it on to other people,
Sure.
even in people they don't know
I have a
anything.
habit of compartmentalizing things, if that makes sense, putting it in its place.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
always, and I'm not always really good at that. I mean, sometimes I have to,
Uh-huh.
um, for lack of a better word, put on a bit of a facade, because if the person I'm trying to assist, it needs me, I need to put whatever my feelings are to the side so
Mm-hmm.
that I can complete the task. Because, that's my
Absolutely.
results driven. That's
Mm-hmm.
actually on my resume. A results driven marketer, results driven person. It's just, yeah. So anyway, that is a thing for me, getting from point A to point B.
You get it done.
So getting from
Okay.
point A to point B. But I guess if I could advise on and I really don't know, there's no magic potion to it. You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
keeping the main thing, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? And trying not to allow it to consume you. And
Yeah.
if you can feel it happening, um, distancing from it. I don't really know exactly what that would look like for someone else, but for me, it's something that I have to do. For instance, if
Mm-hmm.
a person does not receive what it is that I am imparting, absolutely.
Offering or
And as
giving.
you know,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna sidetrack for a second. As you know, to be strong and also to be a person who's somewhat giving, or whatever the case, we wear our hearts on our sleeves. So I know my feelings get hurt when
Yeah.
people don't receive what you
Ooh.
impart, especially if you ask me, and maybe you know what I mean. So anyway, trying to find a way to not internalize it, but just keep it surface
Yeah.
to get the task completed. I think that people don't just come to me, and I don't just come to people. I believe that there's a divine intervention in it. I think that there's a divine purpose in it. I really do. I think that everyone that I've met in my whole life, including you, was all in divine order. I really believe.
I believe so too. I believe
Absolutely.
that is so very true. But to what you were saying, making sure you stay focused on the same thing. I developed a process to do that.
Ah,
It's called the self gut check. And uh, I've been talking about self awareness, and the self gut check is the self awareness tool, because the whole purpose of the self gut check is to see where your
absolutely.
emotions are at that moment. And then based on the
Mhm.
situation or the task that you're doing, do I proceed forward right now? Is this something that I
Mhm.
put to the side for another time? And typically this
Mhm.
is good, especially in conflict, because your actions in that split second can either exacerbate an issue, or it
Sure.
can end a conflict. So that self gut
Mhm.
check is just like that 3 second check in, like, what am I doing? How am I
Mhm.
feeling? What do I need to do next? And what I found is that, especially being a professor, I'm dealing with people of all different ages, different social economic, backgrounds, and technology.
Facts.
Everybody don't know technology
Yes.
the same,
Hmm.
you know. So, and then a matter of knowing, accountability is different too for different generations.
True.
No shade, for different generations, accountability is different. So I have to manage a whole bunch of personalities, a
Sure.
whole bunch of sometimes excuses, sometimes reasons for why stuff isn't happening. And I have to step back sometimes, because it takes a moment to recognize that this person is not me. I am operating from a specific point of view and a
Hmm.
specific perspective. So I have to recognize where this other person is coming from, so we can effectively communicate about whatever the issue is, or solve whatever the problem, or so that they can recognize, even sales one-on-one, finding out, probing the customer to find out what their needs are so that you can properly offer them the solution that matches for them. If you take that sales approach to relationships, then doggone it, you got it made, because that's what everybody wants. Don't you agree?
I absolutely do agree with that. That's what everyone wants.
Yeah, yeah. So, as a strong woman or a woman who knows how to pivot, you've had to make changes unexpectedly, I'm sure. How do you come to a decision when it's time to pivot, or when it's time for you to do something that isn't the exact plan that you had
That's a
initially?
good question. I can honestly say that I don't always have a plan. Sometimes the pivot comes so fast that you don't have an opportunity to even think about it. You know what I mean?
But you recognize it. Like, I know people who stay in situations too long, or they don't recognize when this isn't working, or you need to make a move to better the situation or to better yourself. And I know for me, sometimes I come to that realization because it's after so much effort, I'm not getting the result that I want. Then I start contemplating what some other avenues are. And like you said, sometimes you don't get a chance to plan what your next move is going to be. You just have to choose.
And that's what I was trying to say. Is sometimes it chooses you. You know what I mean? Sometimes it does. And don't get me wrong, I have been definitely in situations where I had to pivot. It was no longer serving me, or serving the need, or serving. I felt like the season had ended. And
are you talking about career-wise? Because what I found is that people are afraid to make the choice to pivot career-wise.
I am talking
is that what you're talking about?
Absolutely. And again, sometimes it kind of hits you in the face. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's right at you. But as you know, I am I pray a lot. And so I never worry about the decisions that fall in my lap, if that makes sense. Some things are meant to be.
You have peace about it.
All right. Yes, I've stepped out on faith and I've tried things, but there was always something that sort of came toward me, if that makes sense. So yeah, I just think that at any given moment you have to weigh what is serving you, what is, or even what you're serving. Let me say that. Sometimes you can you can be in a situation that is draining you because you're not allowing yourself to even be led in any way. You're not. I mean, I'm certainly not implying that, prayer may not be for everyone, but for me, it absolutely works. And if I'm disconnected to that, then from that, I should say, then I feel a little lost. You know what I mean? But yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, prayer is important because, what I talk about a lot is creating the life you want and having happiness, because I think so many people are making choices based on the moment. When a further contemplation or contemplating on a regular basis gives you the options to set up for options. You know what I mean? Because when you're in tune with what God wants you to do, you get peace about moves, even when the moves are sudden. And if you have the opportunity, which we should create the opportunity to really see what it is, what we want in our life. So my book is called Brains and Baubles.
I'm so proud of you.
What works for you. So thank you. Thank you. I mean, it's a life's work. It is a life's work, because if you read it, it starts from ground zero, because you were talking about being a soft-hearted person. I would cry at the drop of a dime as a kid. And I say that in the book, like, people said I was soft-hearted. Well, that was one form. While I still am a recovering people pleaser, I'm very empathetic to people's issues.
I like that.
I'm very empathetic to people's issues. And so I own it a lot of the times, and I just feel that emotion and I cry. But at the same time, when we're talking about happiness, I think that, you know, a lot of people say, well, I don't have time to think about that. I'm about getting this money. Well, you know what? If you took the time to plan how you're going to get the money, or even had an idea how much money you wanted, you wouldn't be scrambling to get the money. You would be executing a plan, and one day you're going to get that money that you wanted. So when you think of dreams, and I'm a big proponent of dreams, because you know, so many people have dreams and they don't pursue them. They think it's not for them, or they're not worthy of having them. I think people should dream bigger than they do, because the more you dream, the more you start creating the environment you want to live in. And all of those little bitty goals are little bitty bits of happiness because you've achieved something. What are you planning right now? What's a big dream
What's
for
a
you?
big dream for me? To take a long vacation.
That you want to share, because I know not all dreams are shareable until they actually start coming to fruition.
I guess one of my dreams is to self-care more. I mean, truly. And oh God, like
what does that look like?
It looks like sitting on a
Self-care
warm
more.
beach. It looks like you know,
okay.
It looks
I
like
got that.
putting
I
my
got
cares
that.
to the side and just living in a moment. Living in a moment, because we always have to plan when we're in careers and being moms and all of that, and being strong women. So just not having to do that is just a dream of mine. That's what I'd like to do, and then making sure that
so that's the lifestyle you want. That's the lifestyle that you're dreaming about, not just one vacation or not just one additional self-care, but a lifestyle.
In that warm place. Maybe some truck property. That's a dream. I'd like to do that. What's that?
You know what's funny? You know, and this is just proving the point that you're making, that we're talking about here. Back when I was in Michigan, and I haven't lived in Michigan in 4 years, going on 4 years now. Back when I was in Michigan, I remember one morning it was snow on the ground, and it was late in the season. So this had to be maybe March. And we were walking to the car, and it was so slippery, it was so cold. And Morgan says to me, I am dreaming of the day that we don't have to do this anymore. I said, I am with you. I'm dreaming of the day where every day we wake up is palm trees and blue skies. Dream. Yeah. And less than a year later, that's where we are. So my point is, listen, for those of you watching this chat right now, I want you to say this out loud, because this is so important. Dreams are not fantasies. They're inspiration for the environment that you want to create.
Yes.
That's it. That's it. So if you have a dream, why not, you know, dream about it more, think about it more, explore how to get to it. And you know, that can happen.
I mean, I dreamt about having a business. I wanted to, and it actually didn't start with, I want to have a business. It was, I didn't want to punch a clock. I didn't, you know, and don't get me wrong. I mean, because, you know, I do have a job now.
Yeah.
But on my terms.
Yeah.
And that's what
Absolutely. I've done that. I've had jobs on my terms.
That was a dream, to be able to make decisions and do things on my terms. And so that's a huge dream to continue to do that.
Do you write your plans down? Or like I do a vision board. I've done a vision board as a list. I've done a digital vision board. I still do a vision board, a digital vision board on my phone.
I do write things down, though. I'm into poetry.
Okay.
I grew up writing poetry. So there are times. Right. Where's my lighter? Right. So I like.
Good. Brother to the Night is one of my favorite ones. Brother to the Night from
oh my God,
Jones.
Absolutely. So I really could relate to the movie, because I do love poetry, and I used to write poetry, and so that dreaming thing, that was me as a kid. I kept a journal. I put pictures in that journal of my favorite artists, and I love music. You know, I grew up playing an instrument.
Okay.
And and between me and you, one of my stress relievers is DJing. I like to DJ. I
Really, I would not have
I love it. I have a
ever
whole board.
seen you
It's
behind
crazy.
the
The
ones and
ones and twos.
twos. Come
I
on,
love it.
Lorna.
I have a board in my basement. I have big speakers. Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. I have oh my goodness.
What type of
Just about
music?
everything. Just about everything. I have probably, my playlist is probably 5,000 songs.
Lorna,
I
are you
don't
gonna
know.
do something with that? I mean, you got Shaq, you got Snoop, you got Paris Hilton. Look, let's add Lorna
It's
Dean
so
to the
funny.
list. Come on now, Lorna. I never. Now
It is
that
a
is
stress
so
reliever. It really
interesting.
is. I get in my basement. If I've had a crazy day, usually on a Friday night. New Year's is a time I do that, and I would go live with my family, and they would give me songs to mix in or whatever.
Do you?
I do now.
Do you?
I do now. I really do. And what's funny, I'll share this little
Oh my
goofy
goodness.
story. So, I work at a job, right? And so we were having a company type of a
Yeah.
party, sort of like a block club type thing. And so we were having a meeting about it. We have a culture committee at my job, and I'm a part of that culture committee. And it is to, support staff and to, for staff morale, boosting it and that kind of a thing. So we do different little, things for the staff to keep that going. So we had this party and they were like, okay, so we need to hire a DJ. We need to do this and that. And I'm thinking, well, let's save some money. You know, let's save some money. And so I said, well,
So did you come with
I'll
the
get on the
crate?
ones and twos. And I said it like that, but I said it jokingly. So some of my coworkers were just like, okay, so whatever. So anyway, the day of the party, we have a truck, right? So I pull up in my husband's truck and I'm unloading, and I have speakers with.
Do you
I don't
have
have
crates, Lorna?
I don't have crates because now DJ.
Oh, I thought you were going to say I'm unloading crates of
Because
records. I'm about to
DJing
say,
now
girl,
it's like
you know
digital. It's
school.
on your computer. It's you know
Mhm.
what I mean? It's your playlist. It's that kind of thing. And it's all on your
Right.
computer. So so I have my laptop. I have my board, which I run my laptop through my board. I have these speakers with these stands,
Okay.
and I had to ask staff to come over and help me put the stands on. So I've got these speakers sitting up high. I have my tent and my table.
They
They
thought
thought I
you
was
were
joking. And then
joking.
when I got everything hooked up, and I have microphones. Yes, I have microphones. And so, and not ones, I have good microphones. And so anyway, so I get set up. I start out, and now people are coming out the building like, who is out on the ones? And now I'm in a zone. I'm in a zone. I'm doing my thing. It was so funny.
Yeah, you.
So after, and it's funny, I think it was an icebreaker because I had just started the position, and I got a little hazed. Anyway, I was
Okay.
the new kid on the block. So it was a good icebreaker.
Yeah, of
So people were
course.
just like so surprised. I am a
Yeah.
department head. So people were like, is that the young lady? Because we all wear masks. I don't think that's her. Is that her? She looks just like the girl in the department. And so I overheard them talking. What are you guys talking about? And the girl came over and she said, one of the aides, she said, oh, we were just talking about the department head that works in the building, and you look like her. I said, oh. She said, are you that person? I said, no, I don't know who that is. So then they were like, so of course I said yes, it's it's
You
definitely me.
admitted,
And
like, yeah,
they
it's
got
me.
such a
It's
kick.
me.
It
Well,
was
I like to dance. I like to dance. I dance
absolutely.
at a drop of a dime. And actually, Nicole and I, we were talking about when as a strong woman, when you want to not put down, but when you just want to be
Mm-hmm.
you as an individual, what we used to do would get together on a Friday over to Nicole's house, have something good to eat,
You know
nice,
how she
refreshing
how she does.
libation.
Yes.
I have a specific mirror. She could have moved the mirror by now. but the mirror right at the doorway to her kitchen was just high enough where I could dance. And we would just play music. Oh, do you remember this song? Play this. And she'd be over there dancing and I'd be over here dancing. But I've always danced. Even when the pandemic first started, and I've shared this before, when the pandemic first started, I was done with the class. My class face-to-face had just ended. So I was still teaching online, and then my daughter got out of school and my husband was already staying home. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to be going to work for a while. I said, I cannot just buy into this. So I'm going to start moving my body. So I started walking and walking and walking. Then it got to the point where I would walk outside and then I would come upstairs. I'm listening to my gospel playlist. Now I share it with you if you want it because it gets you going. And I would come upstairs and I would just dance for another hour. Then dancing became the thing. I didn't go out as much. I got ankle weights and I got wrist weights and I got a vest and I would just dance, and that was my exercise. I did it in a certain pair of slippers on my wood floor because I could slide around. I would dance for an hour every morning, and it became not only a place where I could think, where I was worshiping because I was listening to the gospel music the whole time. I was also working on my body. I was, helping myself. So that type of self-care is definitely important. Carving out a time for you not to have to be strong. Just be you. Just be you. So, Lorna, before we go, would you tell us, as a strong woman, as a strong woman, drop one emotional, intelligent characteristic that you would like to develop or work on a little bit, or a trait that you see that you want to address? Because the point of me asking this at the end of every interview is to let the audience know that everybody, this is a constant work, no matter where you have success in your life, no matter how many obstacles you've overcome, or even if you haven't had to overcome many obstacles, if you haven't had to be strong, that you still have things you need to work on. Like I shared earlier, I am a recovering people pleaser. I still have to draw myself back from deep diving into someone else's issues because I have things that my emotions need to be in check for. So what is one thing that you might want to work on for you?
Don't deplete myself. Give myself an opportunity to replenish and learn how to do that. Make sure that I'm connected to a fountain, if you will. It could be you, my girlfriend circle. It could be, and get to it sooner than later. Don't deplete.
Yep. So that self-awareness right there is key. I'm telling you, I'm naming March Self-Awareness Month because in order for you to even identify that you need to be with your girlfriend sometime, or you need to make this pivot or make this change, you must be aware of how your conditions are impacting your emotions and have a desire to even make a change in that way. Well, Lorna, you are a beautiful angel. I just love your personality, and I'm saying it out loud because people say, give them their flowers while they're there. I'm giving you your whole bouquet, girl. Okay?
And I give it right back to you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, you guys, listen, I'm here every Tuesday at 6 p.m. I'm going to have my technology together. If you see I'm not there right on the money, that means a blip happened, but we're working on it. So come and see me every Tuesday. Learn more about emotional intelligence. Learn more about how to overcome those hurdles, and don't let whatever is happening, whatever's trending, whatever seems like everyone else do it, be your normal. Take ownership of your emotions. Remember, your emotions impact your thoughts impact your behavior, and your behavior impacts your environment. Thank you, Lorna.
Bye, everybody.
Until next time, everybody.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.